And welcome back to my tricycle lesson. Today we are going to be talking about cranks on our Sunseeker Fatboard tricycle that we are currently using for off-roading. We're basically trying to set up the bike to be as efficient as possible for ourselves. More specifically, talking about how I'm trying to set it up to get the most out of it and get out my own power, so I can use what the bike can do and what I'm able to do efficiently. So ever since I bought the bike and started to restore it, as in getting a new chain for it, because the stock chain was about, I would say, 80% rusted solid, and stuff like that. But recently, whenever I would ride it, I noticed I would never get out of the middle ring and the small ring in the front. What I have in my hand is this is actually the stock crank for this bike. As you can see, there's obviously 3 rings or gears. This tall gear that I have my thumb on, I really used on the bike. And that is because of this specific bike has a lot of drag, and in turn, the big gear on this would be too tall to overcome that drag. I noticed that the middle ring and the small ring was more than enough for this setup. So what I decided to do is first I went to my local bike shop and I tried to have them help me find a new crank for this bike. Unfortunately, they weren't unable to help me at this moment, because the stuff that they have access to, the inventory that they found online wasn't there. So what I decided to do was take it upon myself and find a crankset of my own. So I went on Amazon and I found these cranks. No, they're not the kind of brand name that I typically use. Usually I stick with either Shimano or SRAM. And these aren't it, obviously, but for the price range, it was acceptable. So on Amazon right now, these go for, I think it was around $45 full price. But anybody that knows Amazon knows on some of their items, you can scroll down a little bit, and sometimes they have sometimes some of those items have returns, and they do sell the returns for a more lower price. So I actually got these cranks for about $29. So for the price, I figured I didn't have much to lose. So with that said, the length of the crank is about so here to here is 170 millimeters of length. So that's what these were. These are 170s. So So now our big gear on our crank, this is a 36 tooth gear on the big one, and the small one is a 24. So before I continue, let me mention that the smallest gear on this is a 20. And you could ask me, does that make a difference of just 4 more teeth on the gear? And I would have to say, actually, yes, quite big of a difference. Yesterday I took this out on a ride. I took it out on a path that you already see me do. That challenges this bike at me. When I was going up a hill, and I knocked it down to the small gear for that hill, I actually was struggling a lot. I was struggling a lot more than usual. That could mean, well, some of that is because I was tired that day. My muscles were kind of sore, but I shouldn't have had as much of a challenge as I did. So, and I think it's because of that small difference of this has more teeth to it. Like I said, this is the 24, while this one is the 20. So, with that said, another reason why I bought these ones. So, this crank and this crank, all the rings are held together by bolts, as you can see here. So basically, when you wear out your teeth on your sprocket or ring, you can just take it to your local bike shop. They'll measure for they'll measure the hole spacings for a new ring, and then you can buy a new one and just bolt the new one back on and just put the crank back on the bottom bracket. And so that was another thing I bought these specifically for, is because I can also, just in case this was a gear that was too small, I can easily go to my local bike shop and get a bigger ring, and I'm good to go. And two, before I forget, if you're having the same problem with your Sunseekers, that you find that you're not using the big stock gear on your crank, and you want to try these, here's something to remember when you're looking for parts for yourself or online without going to the bike shop, is know what type of bottom bracket you have. So these days we have so many different designs of bottom bracket. Bottom brackets are what is in the middle inside the frame here. This is called a shell, or a bottom, and where your bottom bracket grows, and your bottom bracket is a sealed bottom bracket that has bearings that connects to your crank that allows it to spin freely and efficiently. And the part of the bottom bracket that connects to your crank is something you need to know before you go out and buy your parts, if you go out and buy your parts on your own. And that is, so this bottom bracket is called a square tapered or a hex tapered bottom bracket, and this is this specific kind of bottom bracket is pretty in its design, an old design, which means ever since bikes were like mountain bikes or road bikes or any bike that has a 3-piece crank, the bottom bracket design, they typically use a square tapered bottom bracket. Like I said before, at this point, there are so many different kinds of bottom brackets to choose from now. Therefore, it gives you more of a wide variety of cranks. So, but in our case, our Sunseeker is running a square tapered bottom bracket, probably because even though that square tapered bottom brackets aren't that popular right now, because like I said, it's an older design. Square tapered bottom brackets might be still cheaper to buy if you want to buy in bulk. So I imagine the manufacturer knew this and found a company that had perhaps a whole bunch of surplus square tapered bottom brackets, and perhaps they bought a big shipment of those bottom brackets for their bikes. So that doesn't mean these cranks are not good because they're square tapered. But it's just, again, good to know on if you're going to be using the bike's existing bottom bracket. It's good to know on what kind of cranks you should be looking for. And two, if you were gonna do this right, you'd also have to change the bottom bracket out as well, because this bottom bracket is meant for a 3-ring crank, and since we upgraded to a 2-ring crank, there's gonna be more room back here. There's gonna be space back here, a dead space. So, technically, what you should be doing is you should get a bottom bracket that's a lot much shorter, that is designed for a 2-ring crank, so you can tuck it in more towards your frame. And what that does is that way your pedals aren't so far apart. You can get your pedals more closer together, that gives you more of a natural seating position. And to give you an idea of what the square taper might look like, I can show you with this one. If you can see on the center of this, you can see the square hole, and that's what I'm talking about when I say square tapered. So this will be a square tapered / hex tapered crank. So what I did though is, yes, on this I haven't changed the bottom bracket yet from a 3-ring to a 2-ring, because I got these cranks just over the weekend, and the bike shop's closed, so I can't yet go to the bike shop and get the proper size bottom bracket. So when I do, I will show you what it takes to install a new proper bottom bracket for a 2-ring crank. And two, as you can imagine, this is also a 3 gear or a ring front derailleur. What I did was any deviator has 2 screws, and those 2 screws are for the biggest gear and the smallest gear, and one of the screws are for the to keep the deviator from pushing the chain off the big guy, and the other screw is for when you downshift into your smallest gear, that screw stops the deviator from pushing the chain too far this way, so it doesn't come off your small gear, and that's what those are for. So knowing that, so what I did was I took the screw that was for the big ring, as you see here, and I screwed the screw in until that screw wouldn't allow the deviator to go any more further than this requires. So essentially, I just turned a 3-ring or a 3-gear front deviator to work with a 2-ring crank. So for now, it's working great. I will be eventually swapping out the front deviator, but for now, we don't need to change that right now. Everything's working just fine. So I will be making videos about in the future, because I'm going to buy a shorter bottom backer for this crank so I can suck in the crank a bit more to the frame, because if you don't, and if the chain falls off your smallest gear on your crank, then it will get wedged in between the crank and the frame, and obviously you don't want to do that, because you're gonna risk damaging or crushing your chain, and you have to replace your chain. And two, like I said before, by tucking in your crank, it puts the pedals a lot more closer together and more in a relaxed position for you. And I wanted to say, again, one of the reasons why I decided to do this is because, like I said before, I noticed I never used the big stock gear that it had, so why have it basically at that point? But another reason why is because one less thing to have on your bike if you're not gonna use it, then why have it? And no, it's not about losing weight on the bike, because we're only talking about ounces here. We're not talking about pounds. It's never about, to take a pound of material off this bike, I would have to change everything about it. So keep that in mind. But another reason why I changed the cranks is so I can change the gear ratio. So now we can overcome the bike's natural drag by changing the gear ratio, and that will allow us to, at least allow me, in my perspective, since most of my power is in my right leg, and hardly I have any muscle in my left leg, it's really hard to find the right setup to reach my maximum to use my maximum potential. Or if you want to use car terms, to use up my full range of my power band. And once I set the bike up to do that, it allow me and the bike to be more efficient. And also, when you're taking your Sunseeker off road, if you have the right gear on it, then it'd be a lot easier to carry your momentum throughout the dirt and over obstacles and climbing hills and whatever you have to do to overcome your challenge. So the biggest thing I would change on these cranks is that small gear. It has this one that you see, the smallest one. Again, like I said, this has a 24-tooth sprocket or tooth gear, while this one has a 20. And I think this one I have more luck with climbing hills and going over soft sand without bogging down too much. So I might actually take this bike to the bike shop and see if they can help me find a new 20-tooth ring for this, so I can again make the bike that much more comfortable, more enjoyable. I'm not over stressing my body or my muscle. That way I'm using the least amount of energy possible and enjoying the ride. So at this point, I already recorded a ride with these cranks, and I already so let me show you that footage, and if we make it by the end of the video, don't forget to subscribe and push all the buttons, and if you think I earned your subscription, please push that button, so I can make my channel get more popular and maybe even get some money rolling in, so I can do more higher quality videos for you. And if you have any more questions about this crankset, despite these being a aftermarket crankset, so far I had no big any big problems with it. And two, like I said before, these were originally a return part, so that's what I usually do. When I can help it, I will buy the return stuff. And in this case, I got lucky because besides a couple dings in the crank, they're obviously still brand new. So and like I said, the only thing I would change is that one gear for the small gear. I would just knock it down to a 22 gear instead of 24, and I will be doing a lot more rides with these cranks on here, and I will periodically try to give you a future video update with them too. If you have any more questions about customizing your own Sunseeker, comment down below, or if you just have any questions in general, or comment, let me know what you think about these, and do you agree on, if you're not using your big gear to get crankset are just 2 gears. Just comment down below. Tell me what's on your mind. I would like to get into more conversations about tricycles and customizing. Let me just say, the biggest reasons why I love customizing and changing and trying new things is because since I'm disabled, as you can tell, that I find that it's really hard to adapt myself to a new, say I get a new bike and it kind of does the job for me, but there's certain things about it that that can be changed and make better, but a lot of people just say, well, I'll just get used to it. Yeah, but what if you can't? So with that said, I hope you enjoy the rest of the video, and I hope this was a good video for you to watch and gives you a good outlook on what we're doing to the bike. I hope this is good information for you and makes you more comfortable with the idea of if you had to change a part on your bike to make it better for you, that you can do that. And until next time, don't forget your water balls, don't forget your helmet, and always have a good ride out there. And bye for now.